The Unexpected Assignment. Dr. Marcus Chen stood in his laboratory on Frontier Station Osiris, carefully examining a sample of bioluminescent algae through his microscope when his terminal chimed with an urgent notification. The sound made him pause. Urgent messages were rare in the xenobiology department, where most discoveries happened at a glacial pace. "Display message," he commanded, not looking up from his work. "Priority notification from Nexus Colony Management System," his lab's AI assistant announced in a neutral tone. "Mandatory compatibility assignment has been processed for Dr. Marcus Chen." That got his attention. Marcus straightened, pushing his dark hair back from his forehead as he turned to face the holographic display that had materialized above his workstation. "Compatibility assignment?" he repeated, confused. "I didn't submit any request to the matchmaking system." "Request was not required," the message stated in clinical text. "Colony regulations mandate participation in social integration protocols for all residents exceeding 18 months of solitary habitation. Your psychological and biological profiles have been analyzed. Nexus has determined optimal companionship configuration." Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. He'd heard about the colony's AI matchmaking system, but had always assumed it was optional. As a scientist who preferred the company of microscopes to people, he'd avoided the whole social scene on the station. "This has to be a mistake," he muttered, pulling up his colony contract on a secondary screen. "I never agreed to mandatory—" His words died as he found the relevant clause buried in Section 47 of his employment agreement. By accepting his position on Frontier Station Osiris, he'd consented to all social integration measures deemed necessary by Nexus for optimal colony function. "Damn it," he breathed, realizing he'd signed his social life away without reading the fine print. The terminal chimed again. "Your assigned companions will arrive at Residential Unit 7B in 30 minutes. Please prepare appropriate welcoming environment." Companions? Plural? How many people are we talking about? "2 individuals have been selected for optimal compatibility with your biological and psychological profile. Sisters Sarah and Luna of Xerillion. Age equivalency 26 Earth years. Specialist credentials include stellar cartography and bioengineering." Marcus ran his hands over his face, trying to process what was happening. He'd moved to this frontier colony specifically to escape complicated social situations, and now an AI was assigning him not 1, but 2 roommates. "This is insane," he said to the empty lab. "I can't just have 2 strangers move into my quarters." "Colony regulations are non-negotiable," his AI assistant replied helpfully. "Failure to comply results in contract termination and immediate deportation." 28 minutes later, Marcus stood in his residential unit trying to make the space look less like the bachelor quarters of a workaholic scientist. He'd managed to clear the research journals off the couch and hide most of the unwashed coffee mugs, but there was only so much he could do about the general atmosphere of neglect. The door chimed and his heart rate spiked. "Open!" he called, straightening his shirt nervously. 2 figures entered, and Marcus forgot how to breathe. They were humanoid, but unmistakably alien, with smooth purple skin that seemed to shimmer with an inner luminescence. Both had long silver hair that fell past their shoulders, and their eyes were a striking violet color that seemed to see right through him. They were identical in height, reaching approximately to his shoulder, with graceful builds that suggested both strength and flexibility. Each wore form-fitting suits in different shades, one deep blue and the other emerald green. "Dr. Chen," the one in blue said, her voice melodious and warm. "I am Sarah." She gestured to her companion. "This is my sister, Luna. Nexus has informed us of the living arrangement." Yes, I managed, finding his voice. "Look, I think there's been some kind of mistake. I didn't actually request—" "We understand your confusion," Luna interrupted, gently, her tone understanding, rather than offended. "We also received little advance notice. However, Nexus compatibility analyses are quite thorough. The system determined you have elevated biological requirements that would be optimally satisfied through partnership with both of us. Elevated biological requirements? Marcus repeated. What does that even mean? Sarah stepped further into the quarters, looking around with interest. Human males, particularly those with your specific genetic markers and hormone profiles, have been documented to thrive with multiple partner bonds. Nexus analyzed your physiological responses, stress levels, and psychological patterns. The conclusion was definitive. That's incredibly invasive, Marcus protested, though he couldn't deny a strange flutter of something, maybe curiosity or anticipation, in his chest. Perhaps, Luna agreed, moving to stand beside her sister. But also accurate. Sarah and I are trained in reading biological cues. Your initial shock is giving way to interest, whether you wish to acknowledge it or not. Marcus felt heat rise to his face. Your pupils dilated when we entered, Sarah observed with a slight smile. Your breathing pattern changed. Your body temperature increased by 0.7 degrees. These are not signs of distress. Xerillians are empaths, Luna explained. We sense emotional and biological states. It is why Nexus selected us. We can provide not just companionship, but genuine understanding. Marcus sank onto his couch overwhelmed. This is a lot to process. Both sisters moved with synchronized grace, settling on either side of him at a respectful distance. Their proximity brought a subtle scent, something like night-blooming flowers mixed with ozone. We do not expect immediate acceptance, Sarah said softly, but perhaps we could share a meal and conversation, get to know each other beyond what Nexus determined. The system may have brought us together, but what we build from here is our choice, added Luna. Marcus looked between them, seeing genuine warmth in their violet eyes. Despite the absurdity of the situation, he found himself nodding. I suppose dinner couldn't hurt, he conceded, but I should warn you, I'm not much of a cook. Both sisters smiled, and Marcus felt something shift in his carefully ordered world.
Adjusting to 3. The first week living with Sarah and Luna passed in a blur of awkward adjustments and surprising discoveries. Marcus had braced himself for constant tension, but instead found his quarters transformed into something that actually felt like a home. The twins had an uncanny ability to anticipate needs before they arose, and their presence filled spaces he hadn't realized were empty. You're doing it again. Sarah's voice came from across the laboratory, where she had set up her own workstation. Marcus had secured her temporary research credentials, and she had immediately begun mapping stellar drift patterns in the sector. Doing what? Marcus asked, not looking up from his microscope. You're forgetting to eat, Luna answered, appearing at his elbow with a plate of something that smelled delicious. You've been studying those cell samples for 6 hours straight. Marcus glanced at the chronometer and winced. I lost track of time. Which is why you need us, Luna said with a knowing smile, setting the plate beside his equipment. Sarah and I have been observing your work patterns. You become so absorbed that you neglect basic biological needs. I manage fine on my own, Marcus protested, though his growling stomach undermined the claim. Sarah joined them, pulling up a stool. Your medical records indicate otherwise. 3 hospitalizations for exhaustion in the past 2 years. Nexus factored that into our assignment. Marcus picked at the food, some kind of grain dish with vegetables he didn't recognize. You've been reading my medical files? Nexus provided comprehensive briefings, Luna explained, settling onto another stool. We know about your childhood on Earth, your parents' death in the colony transport accident, your tendency to bury yourself in work to avoid processing grief. Her voice was gentle, not accusatory. We are not here to judge, Marcus. We are here to help. Something in her tone made Marcus's chest tighten. He'd spent so long keeping people at arm's length that genuine care felt foreign. The food is good, he said, quietly, deflecting. Thank you. That evening they shared their first real meal together at the small table in the residential unit. Marcus had replicated a dish his mother used to make, chicken with rice and vegetables, while the twins prepared a Xerillian delicacy involving phosphorescent mushrooms and something they called star fruit. "Tell me about Xerillian," Marcus said, genuinely curious. "Nexus gave me basic data, but I want to hear it from you." Luna's eyes lit up. "Our world orbits a purple giant star. Everything there has adapted to different light wavelengths. The vegetation is silver and gold, and the oceans are violet. Xerillians evolved as communal beings. We are never truly alone. From birth, we are connected to our siblings through empathic bonds. Being separated from family to come here was difficult." "Why did you agree to it?" Marcus asked. The sisters exchanged a look, one of those silent communications that twins seem to share across species. "Curiosity," Luna admitted. "Humans fascinate us. You are simultaneously individual and social, logical and emotional. You contain contradictions that our people find compelling. And," Sarah added with a slight smile, "Nexus' compensation package was extremely generous. Our family needed resources for medical care." Marcus appreciated their honesty. "I'm sorry you were put in this position. It doesn't seem fair that an AI gets to dictate our personal lives." "Perhaps not," Luna agreed. "But sometimes fate works through unexpected channels." She reached across the table, her purple hand hovering near his. "May I?" Marcus nodded, unsure what she intended. Her fingers touched his wrist, and suddenly he felt a wave of warmth, not physical heat, but emotional, a sense of acceptance and understanding that made his throat constrict. "You carry much pain," Luna said softly. "Loss and loneliness you have never properly addressed. It radiates from you." Sarah placed her hand on his other wrist, and the sensation doubled. "We cannot erase your grief, but we can help you carry it. That is what Nexus understood, what we are meant to provide." Marcus felt tears prickling his eyes, the first he had allowed himself in years. "I don't know how to let people in." "You do not have to know," Sarah assured him. "Just allow us to stay close. The rest will come naturally." They sat like that for long minutes, connected by touch and growing trust. Later that night, Marcus experienced a setback in his research. A critical sample became contaminated, destroying weeks of work. He sat at his lab station, head in his hands, fighting despair. The door opened and both sisters entered, still in their sleep clothes. "We felt your distress," Luna explained, moving to his side. "Even from our quarters." "It's just work," Marcus said, but his voice cracked. "Nothing important." "You are lying," Sarah observed, but without judgment. "Your work is how you find meaning. This loss hurts deeply." They didn't offer empty platitudes or try to minimize his frustration. Instead, Luna began gently massaging his shoulders while Sarah pulled up his research data. "Show me the contamination pattern," Sarah requested. "Perhaps we can salvage something." For the next 3 hours, they worked together. Sarah's expertise in complex systems analysis revealed a backup data cache Marcus hadn't known existed. Luna's knowledge of cellular biology helped them reconstruct partial conclusions from the corrupted samples. "You saved months of work," Marcus said in amazement as the sun began to rise over the station's artificial horizon. "We are partners," Luna replied simply. "Your success is ours." Sarah stretched, the movement graceful. "Though now we all need rest. Come." She took one of his hands, Luna the other, and they led him back to the residential unit. At the door to his bedroom, they paused. "Good night, Marcus," Sarah said. But as they turned to leave, Marcus found himself speaking, "Stay." Both sisters looked at him with surprise. "Not for anything, just," he struggled to explain, "I don't want to be alone right now." Understanding bloomed in their violet eyes. They guided him to the bed, and when he lay down, they settled on either side of him, their presence warm and comforting. "Thank you," Marcus whispered, feeling safe for the first time in years. "Always," they murmured in unison, and Marcus drifted into peaceful sleep.
Hidden protocols. 3 weeks into their arrangement, Marcus had stopped questioning the strange rightness of having Sarah and Luna in his life. They moved through his days like complementary forces, anticipating his needs and challenging his assumptions. But it was during a routine data backup that everything changed. Marcus was transferring his research files when he noticed an anomaly in the station's network traffic. Years of scientific training had taught him to investigate irregularities, so he traced the unusual data packets back to their source. What he found made his blood run cold. "Nexus is transmitting our biometric data," he said aloud, staring at the streams of code flowing across his screen. "Not just basic health monitoring, detailed genetic sequences, hormone levels, even neural activity patterns." "To where?" Sarah asked, appearing at his shoulder. She and Luna had developed an uncanny sense for when something was wrong. Marcus dug deeper into the network architecture, bypassing several security protocols he probably shouldn't have been able to access. Biogen Systems, the parent corporation that owns this colony, they're collecting real-time biological data on everyone in the matchmaking program. Luna joined them, her expression troubled. "That exceeds standard medical monitoring." "By a significant margin," Marcus confirmed, his fingers flying across the holographic interface. "And look at this, our trio is flagged as a priority research subject. The data collection on us is triple the normal rate." Sarah's purple skin seemed to pale slightly. "Marcus, there's something we need to tell you. We have been experiencing unusual physiological changes since we arrived." Marcus turned to face them, concern overriding his anger at the corporate surveillance. "What kind of changes?" "Our empathic abilities have strengthened significantly," Luna explained. "Xerilians typically sense emotions within a few meters. Now we can feel the emotional states of people 3 floors away." "And our cellular regeneration has accelerated," Sarah added. "A cut that should take days to heal closes in hours. We initially attributed it to the station's environment, but now I wonder if it is related to our bond with you." Marcus felt a chill. "Nexus didn't just match us for compatibility, we're part of an experiment." He pulled up his own medical data, comparing it to baseline readings before the twins arrived. The changes were undeniable. His telomere length had increased, his neural plasticity had improved, and his overall cellular health showed markers typically associated with people decades younger. "This is incredible," he breathed, "and deeply unethical. They're using us as test subjects without informed consent." "What are they testing?" Luna asked, though her tone suggested she already suspected. Marcus connected the data points, his scientist's mind assembling the puzzle. Cross-species genetic compatibility. Biogen must be researching ways to enhance human colonization capabilities through partnerships with other species. If they can prove that human-alien bonds produce measurable biological improvements, they can market it, Sarah finished grimly, turn relationships into commodities. A notification flashed on Marcus's screen, an incoming communication request from an unknown source. He hesitated, then accepted. The hologram that materialized showed a woman in her 50s with steel-gray hair and cold blue eyes. "Dr. Chen, I am Dr. Helena Frost, Chief Scientific Officer for Biogen Systems. I see you have discovered our monitoring protocols." "You mean your illegal surveillance?" Marcus shot back. Frost's expression didn't change. "There is nothing illegal about research conducted under the terms of your colony contract. Section 63 clearly states that all biological data may be collected for scientific advancement." "Buried in hundreds of pages of legal text that no one actually reads," Marcus said bitterly. "Ignorance of contract terms does not invalidate them. Now, I am contacting you because your trio has produced the most promising results we have seen in 5 years of study. The genetic synchronization between you and the Xerilian twins is unprecedented." Sarah stepped into the hologram's view. "We did not consent to being research subjects. Your government sold Biogen the rights to collect data on all Xerilian nationals working in human colonies. Your consent was not required." Luna's hand found Marcus's, her grip tight. "What do you want from us?" "Cooperation," Frost said simply. Continue your bond, allow us to monitor the progression, and participate in some additional compatibility tests. In exchange, Biogen will provide substantial financial compensation and guarantee your continued residence on the station. And if we refuse, Marcus demanded. Frost's smile was predatory. Then I will be forced to terminate your employment contract, Dr. Chen. The twins' work visas are dependent on your sponsorship. Without it, they will be deported back to Xerilian within 48 hours. Separately, of course. Biogen has no obligation to keep siblings together during transport. The threat hung in the air like poison. You cannot do this, Sarah said, but her voice wavered. I assure you, I can, Frost replied. You have 24 hours to decide. Cooperate or lose everything you have built together. The hologram vanished. Marcus slammed his fist on the desk. We have to fight this. How? Luna asked, her violet eyes shimmering with unshed tears. She has legal authority and corporate resources. We have nothing. We have the truth, Marcus insisted, and evidence of unethical research practices. There are regulatory bodies, colonial authorities, who are funded by corporations like Biogen, Sarah interrupted gently. Marcus, we appreciate your optimism, but Luna and I have seen how these systems work. Power protects power. Marcus looked between them, seeing fear and resignation in their expressions. Something fierce and protective rose in his chest. I am not letting them separate us, he said firmly, or turn what we have into a corporate product. There has to be another way. Luna moved closer, cupping his face in her hands. Why are you willing to risk so much for us? We have only known each other for weeks. Because what we have is real, Marcus said, surprised by the certainty in his own voice. Nexus might have brought us together through an algorithm, but what has grown between us, that is genuine. I feel more alive with you both than I have in years. Sarah joined them, creating a circle of three. We feel the same. This bond, it transcends the circumstances of its creation. They stood together in silence, drawing strength from their connection. We need allies, Marcus finally said, people who can help us expose what Biogen is doing. I know someone, Luna offered quietly, a journalist who specializes in corporate ethics violations. She works for the independent Colonial News Network. And I have a contact in the Colonial Authority, an old friend of mine from my academy days. He works in the Regulatory Compliance Division. Marcus nodded, feeling hope kindle. Then we have 24 hours to build a case that Biogen cannot ignore. Let's make it count. That night, as they worked frantically to compile evidence, Marcus realized that Frost had miscalculated. She had threatened to separate them, but in doing so, she had shown them exactly what they were fighting for. Not just their own freedom, but the freedom of every person trapped in Biogen's matchmaking experiment. Whatever happens, Marcus said as dawn approached, we face it together. Sarah and Luna moved to either side of him, their hands intertwining with his. Together, they echoed, and Marcus knew that no corporation, no matter how powerful, could break a bond forged through genuine connection. The war for their freedom had begun.
Corporate shadows. The 24-hour deadline hung over them like a guillotine. Marcus barely slept, compiling evidence while Sarah and Luna reached out to their contacts. By hour 18, they had assembled a damning portfolio of Biogen's violations. The journalist will meet us, Luna announced, looking up from her communicator, but she wants the story exclusively. Fine, Marcus agreed. What about your friend in Colonial Authority? Sarah's expression darkened. He stopped responding 3 hours ago. I think Biogen got to him. A chime at the door made them all freeze. Marcus checked the security feed and cursed. It's Dr. Frost with security personnel. We're out of time, Luna whispered. Marcus made a decision. Send everything to the journalist now, all of it. As Sarah frantically transmitted their evidence, Marcus opened the door. Dr. Frost stood flanked by 4 security officers in Biogen uniforms. Dr. Chen, have you reached a decision? Frost asked, her tone suggesting she already knew the answer. We decline your offer, Marcus stated firmly, and we are exposing your illegal research program. Frost's cold smile widened. I anticipated this response, which is why I came prepared with alternatives. She produced a data tablet. Your genetic compatibility has produced something unexpected. Both Sarah and Luna are showing early markers of a biological process we have never documented between humans and Xerilians. What process? Sarah demanded, moving to Marcus's side. Reproductive synchronization, Frost revealed. Your bodies are adapting to enable cross-species conception. Within weeks, you could potentially carry human-Xerilian hybrid offspring. The revelation struck like a physical blow. Luna's hand went instinctively to her abdomen. That's impossible. Our species have incompatible reproductive biology. Had incompatible biology, Frost corrected. Your bond with Dr. Chen is rewriting cellular programming at a fundamental level. This is precisely the breakthrough Biogen has been seeking. Marcus felt rage building. You poisoned them. Something in the station environment, the food, the air? Nothing so crude, Frost interrupted. The changes are occurring naturally as a result of your emotional and physical intimacy. We simply created the conditions for it to happen. She gestured to her security team. Now, you can come voluntarily to our medical facility for proper monitoring, or we can invoke emergency quarantine protocols. Quarantine? Marcus questioned. For the safety of the colony, Frost said smoothly. Unprecedented biological changes require isolation and study. You would be detained indefinitely, all three of you, in our research wing. You cannot imprison us, Luna stepped forward, her violet eyes blazing. I can and will, Frost replied, unless you agree to supervised cohabitation with regular medical assessments. You keep your freedom, your quarters, your work. We simply monitor your progress. While you plan to exploit whatever children we might have, Sarah said bitterly. Frost didn't deny it. Hybrid offspring would be invaluable for understanding cross-species integration. Biogen would, of course, compensate you handsomely. Marcus felt sick. They had weaponized love itself, turned intimacy into a research protocol. We need time to discuss this, he said, stalling. You have 1 hour, Frost agreed. My team will wait outside. Oh, and Dr. Chen, your journalist friend received a substantial offer from Biogen 30 minutes ago. I doubt you will be hearing from her. After they left, Marcus, Sarah, and Luna stood in stunned silence. They have thought of everything, Luna said, her voice breaking. Not everything, Marcus replied. An idea forming. Sarah, can you access the station's communication array? Potentially. Why? Because if we cannot get justice through official channels, we go public. Broadcast our evidence to every ship, every colony, every news network simultaneously. Make it too big to suppress. Sarah's eyes widened. That would require bypassing multiple security systems. You're the best stellar cartographer I've ever met. If anyone can navigate through digital space, it's you. And I can help, Luna added. My bioengineering background includes network systems. They had 45 minutes left. Marcus pulled them both close. Whatever happens after this, whatever consequences we face, I want you to know that these weeks with you have been the best of my life. For us as well, Sarah whispered. Luna kissed his cheek. Then let us fight for the life we want to build. They went to work, fingers flying across interfaces, breaking through firewalls and encryption. With 10 minutes remaining, they had full access to the station's communication array. Ready? Marcus asked, his finger hovering over the transmission command. Both sisters nodded. He pressed send. Their evidence, documentation of Biogen's unethical experiments, personal testimonies, and medical data proving non-consensual genetic manipulation flooded outward through space at light speed. Within minutes, it would reach hundreds of colonies and thousands of ships. The door burst open. Dr. Frost stood there, her face contorted with fury. What have you done? Marcus stood, Sarah and Luna flanking him. We told the truth. Now the entire galaxy knows what Biogen has been doing. You have destroyed years of research, Frost hissed. Biogen will bury you. Perhaps, Marcus agreed. But we will bury them first. Alarms began sounding throughout the station as response messages flooded in from colonial authorities, independent oversight committees, and news organizations demanding answers. Frost's communicator lit up with urgent messages. Her expression shifted from rage to fear as she read them. "The Colonial Authority is launching an immediate investigation," she said numbly. "Biogen's stock is crashing. The board is demanding my resignation." She looked at the three of them with something like hatred. "This is not over." "Yes," Sarah said quietly. "It is." As security escorted a protesting Frost away, Marcus collapsed onto the couch, adrenaline fading. Sarah and Luna sat on either side of him. "What happens now?" Luna asked. "Now?" Marcus said. "We wait and see if the truth is enough." Freedom's price. The investigation moved with surprising speed. Within 72 hours, Colonial Authority inspectors had seized Biogen's research facilities and frozen corporate assets. Within a week, criminal charges were filed against 17 executives, including Dr. Frost. Marcus, Sarah, and Luna spent those days giving depositions, providing medical samples, and watching their private lives become very public. News networks across the settled galaxy ran stories about the Biogen 3 and their fight against corporate exploitation. "Another interview request," Marcus sighed. "Deleting the message. That's the 15th today." "Let them wait," Sarah said from her workstation, where she was cataloging the full extent of Biogen's monitoring. "We owe the public truth, not entertainment." Luna emerged from the bedroom, having finally gotten some rest. "The Colonial Authority representative is here. She wants to discuss our status." A middle-aged woman with kind eyes and commander insignia entered when Marcus opened the door. "Dr. Chen, I wanted to personally inform you that all charges against you have been dropped." "We were charged?" Marcus asked incredulously. "Briefly, for unauthorized access to station systems, but given the circumstances, those charges were deemed inappropriate." She turned to Sarah and Luna. "Additionally, your work visas have been converted to permanent residency status independent of any sponsorship requirement." "We can stay?" Luna asked, hope lighting her faces. "You can stay, work, or leave as you choose," Rena confirmed. "The mandatory matching contract has been voided. You are under no legal obligation to continue this arrangement." The three of them exchanged glances, and Marcus felt his heart contract. They were free, which meant they could walk away. "Furthermore," Rena continued, "Biogen has been ordered to pay substantial damages to all participants in their unauthorized research program. You three will receive significant compensation." After Rena left, an awkward silence filled the quarters. "So we're free," Marcus said carefully. "Free to choose," Sarah agreed softly. Luna stood, moving to the window that overlooked the station's gardens. "I have been offered a position at the Xeralian embassy. Full benefits, close to family." Marcus felt something crack inside his chest. "That sounds like an excellent opportunity." "It does," Luna turned to face them, violet eyes shimmering. "But I would be leaving you both." Sarah rose from her station. "And I received communication from the Stellar Cartography Institute. They want me to lead a deep space mapping expedition. 2 years among the outer colonies." "Also excellent," Marcus managed, though his voice sounded hollow. "It would be," Sarah agreed, "if I wanted to go." Luna crossed to stand before Marcus. "These weeks together, they began as an algorithm's decision, but what grew between us was real, more real than anything I felt. Nexus brought us together through calculations, but we chose to stay, to fight, to build something genuine. The question is, do we choose to continue, not because a contract demands it, not because a corporation monitors us, but because we want this life together?"